Hey everyone, how's it going? We're happy to see people from all over the world tuning in. If you're new here, welcome to the family. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Houthi hypersonic missiles are once again flying over Tel Aviv, and the CIA has admitted a bitter defeat. US media has finally exposed the Houthis' growing arsenal, and Ben Gurion Airport is shut down for maintenance. There are fears that the Jerusalem march could be hit by Houthi missiles. Tel Aviv has announced losses worth billions due to the Yemeni blockade. Meanwhile, Iran is rallying its allies, and Tel Aviv has declared a state of emergency. Some IDF soldiers are refusing to continue fighting, and Ben Gvir supports Netanyahu's political changes. Spain has imposed an arms embargo on Tel Aviv, while the Syrian Democratic Forces are calling for war. Turkey is setting up new military bases in Syria. Putin has survived an assassination attempt, and Trump has rejected Europe's sanctions on Russia. The hypersonic threat returned just when Donald Trump thought pulling out aircraft carriers and halting military operations in Yemen would calm things down, but instead the war moved from the sea to the land. According to Reuters and a past statement by Houthi military spokesperson Yahya Sari, a hypersonic ballistic missile was fired again at Ben Gurion Airport in the Tel Aviv area. He said the operation hit its target, forcing millions of settlers into shelters and halting airport operations. In a shocking and detailed analysis by the war zone, sources revealed that the Houthis have one of the most unique weapons arsenals in the world. This includes a basic hybrid radar system adapted from old missiles and Soviet systems like the P-18, designed to work in mountainous terrain by bouncing signals off the ground to trick modern aircraft stealth tech. They've also modified old Soviet SAMs like SA-8 and SA-6, reprogramming them manually and launching them from mobile platforms. Plus, they use decoy drones designed to jam enemy radar and waste expensive interceptor missiles. This tactic reportedly led to over 20 US MQ-9 Reaper drones being shot down using modified SAMs, each drone costing around $32 million. According to Sky News, Mohammed Ali al-Houthi, a member of the Houthis' Supreme Political Council, stated that negotiating aid deliveries is basically legalizing the blockade and that appeasing Tel Aviv just to get food in is unacceptable. He claimed Netanyahu, who's eliminating his opponents, will never agree to talks to save Gaza. Shortly after, Houthi Political Bureau member Mohammed al-Bukaiti responded to comments by the US Vice President, saying his statement was clear evidence that Yemen has humbled America, just like it did with Saudi Arabia and the UAE. He criticized Arab and Islamist media for ignoring the US Vice President's statement, according to Reuters. Al-Bukaiti added that their combat strategy changed after the war in Yemen, marking the end of full American dominance over the seas and air. These comments sparked tension in the Israeli media. Maariv reported that the Houthis don't rest for a second and keep launching missiles at Tel Aviv without hesitation. Other Israeli sources voiced concern over the possibility of missiles being fired from Yemen toward Jerusalem during upcoming marches that tens of thousands of settlers are expected to attend. Channel 2 in Israel reported that the economic damage from the strike on Ben Gurion Airport, especially from cancelled flights, is still being felt. The Houthis aim to disrupt Israeli life by forcing millions into shelters at midnight and causing daily chaos. Tel Aviv has tried to retaliate with airstrikes in Yemen, but they haven't achieved much, especially after the US halted its operations there and withdrew carriers and bombers, which eased the pressure on the Houthis, according to Reuters. On the other side, news from Tehran isn't any more comforting for the Israelis. Hadshot Tzenzura reported that several Netanyahu army units have received new defensive instructions in anticipation of an Iranian attack. Iran's top military leader said they are closely monitoring enemy movements and are fully prepared to respond to any threat. He emphasized Iran's commitment to defending its territorial integrity, independence, and national security. Meanwhile, Iran's foreign minister said the country welcomes a regional nuclear enrichment center, but only if it stays inside Iran. He warned that if the snapback mechanism is triggered, Iran will respond forcefully. He described the ongoing negotiations with the US as a battle of wills and said the outcome will depend on whether Iran's national rights are respected. These fiery statements coincided with the Pakistani Prime Minister's visit to Tehran, accompanied by a high-level delegation which many see as an attempt to rally allies before a potential major confrontation. Problems are also flaring up inside the Knesset. From Sana'a to Gaza, not everything happening is being shown or heard. According to Channel 2, Israel, things kicked off when Itamar Ben-Gvir claimed that the deep state is illegally blocking the appointment of a new Shin Bet head, using mafia-style tactics which he says won't work. Meanwhile, the Broadcasting Authority announced that a reservist has been sentenced to prison for refusing to serve in Gaza, saying he can't morally continue and won't stay silent. But the real shock came from outside Tel Aviv. Spain's foreign minister cut the ceremonial ribbon, declaring that Madrid will no longer allow arms sales to. Spain has announced that it will no longer sell weapons to Tel Aviv, nor allow ships carrying weapons to dock at Spanish ports. According to their foreign minister, the world must recognize the state of Palestine. Meanwhile, the Hebrew newspaper Yedioth Ahronoth reported, citing political sources, that the international legitimacy for the Israeli army's operations in Gaza is fading. Continued fighting in Gaza could lead to international isolation and possibly economic sanctions. It might even reach the point where the UN Security Council intervenes to end the war. Tensions are also rising in Syria, something Netanyahu won't like. He suddenly finds himself dealing with a crisis he can't control. A senior official from the Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF, told The National that he wouldn't be surprised if the US eventually abandons them in a deal with Turkey. There's also a real possibility of a war with the Syrian government, but President Bashar al-Assad might avoid direct conflict because maintaining his international image is extremely important to him. In another development, Turkish newspaper Turkey Gazetesi reported that Turkey's military plans to build new air, land and naval bases in Syria to fight extremist groups. Russia is now at the center of the storm in the Middle East. Whether it's Tunisia or Ukraine, things are heating up. And this time, Ukraine might be headed toward collapse, not because of the Russians, but because of the Americans themselves. According to a BBC report, things have taken a deadly turn. Moscow announced that President Putin narrowly escaped a deadly trap during his recent visit to the Kursk region. According to sources, Putin's helicopter was caught in the middle of a massive drone attack launched by Ukrainian forces. Military officials described it as a carefully planned assassination attempt. General Yuri Dashkin, commander of the Air Defense Division, said his forces intercepted the attack just in time, shooting down 46 drones. He confirmed that Putin's helicopter was the main target of the large-scale hostile operation. Putin was visiting Kursk for the first time since its liberation from Ukrainian forces. His trip included stops at a nuclear power plant and local government offices. But what no one expected was that the skies would be prepped for an assassination attempt. Russian intelligence hasn't confirmed whether the attack was based on specific intel about Putin's exact location. Still, all signs suggest a highly precise attempt to target him personally. So, did Kyiv actually try to assassinate the Russian president? Has the head of the Russian state officially become a direct target in this war? While Washington claims what happens in Kyiv is not their concern, former US President Donald Trump has pulled out of peace talks. Meanwhile, the Dutch defense minister has sent Ukraine the final batch of F-16 fighter jets, like a farewell gift at the end of a service term. In a related update, Trump told European leaders and Ukrainian President Zelensky, after a phone call with Russian President Putin, that he doesn't plan to impose new sanctions on Russia. According to Trump, Moscow is seriously committed to resolving the Ukraine crisis. He said he believes Russia genuinely wants a deal and is ready to begin direct ceasefire talks immediately. This information came from participants in Trump's call with European leaders, as reported by Axios and Russian news agency TASS. In response, Zelensky announced sanctions against 10 individuals from both Russia and Ukraine. He signed a decree targeting those individuals and several entities from different countries. Thanks so much for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Here at S News, we're committed to giving you fair and traditional news coverage.